Hey guys, this is Jazzy Lady, and I just wanted to drop a quick video on Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets, and just say that with all the excitement and how exciting it was last week with the 56 point scoring and the Heats versus the Bucks game, and then 2 days later, I think Mr. Butler scored 42 points. Jimmy motherfucking buckets Butler. Just wanted to just share some thoughts on something that is not discussed or talked a lot in terms of his um, thought process or his background. And I just wanted to say, I think what's interesting about Jimmy to me is what I read about his upbringing and the fact that when he was 13 years old, his mother essentially kicked him out of the house. And Jimmy says in an interview that basically she said, you don't look, I don't like the looks of you. Now I don't know if she thought he looked like, he was about to do something he wasn't supposed to do and she didn't want to be connected with it, or he looked just, I don't know, I don't know what she meant. He didn't, I'd have to know what Jimmy looked like at 13, I guess, to know why his mother said that, right? But at some point when he was a teenager, he was 13, she says, I don't like the looks of you. Maybe he just looked like a bad kid. Maybe he was acting up a lot. I don't know if he was causing a lot of trouble, but maybe she just, for some reason, she didn't want him in the house, right? We could all speculate and speculate to death as to why, but that's what he said, right? And so he left. He left. His mother basically kicked him out. His father, unfortunately had, him and the mother and the father weren't together, so he wasn't around either. And I believe his father left shortly after Jimmy was born. And so when I read that, the first thing I thought is, wow, how terrifying as a 13-year-old. You're in probably, about to be in eighth grade and you're essentially on the street. And a lot of kids at that point could have just, said, F it. This isn't fair. I've been dealt an unfair hand in life. He could have turned to, crime, stealing, robbing, and he would have felt justified. Many a 13-year-old, boy would have felt justified if they did commit some crimes because they feel like, what, my own damn mother kicked me out of the house. I have no place to live. I'm terrified. I'm on the streets alone. What do I do? He could have been a homeless kid. And from what I read, he bounced around from, friend's house to friend's house that was let him stay for, I don't know. He didn't go into specifics that I know of as to how many weeks at a time, but apparently this went on, I'm guessing, for a year or two before he did meet a friend that was nice enough that this friend's mother and father let him move in with them essentially. And their family already had 6 kids and they still let Jimmy stay. And he said in the interview he couldn't get over how sweet the family and the mother in particular was, and she took him in like he was one of their own. And this friend is, when I looked at the friend's age, the friend is about 2 years younger than him. Okay, and the friend went on actually to be an NFL player on the professional level, I believe, for a year or two. And but that's interesting to me because it this when you read up on him, you'll see eventually he just met a friend that did let him, that he was able to live in longer, maybe for a few years until he graduated, and that was permanent, which was great. But my question is, what about that gap from when his mother first kicked him out until he met that friend, which is about, from looking at the age difference of him and the friend, would have been about a year or two later. What did he do for 2 years? Did he stay at people's houses for 6 weeks and then they asked him to leave? Did he sleep on their couch? Was he in another spare bedroom in the bunk bed? What did he do? And the fact that listen, he graduated and he went to college, as we all know, right? And so he must have kept his grade point average up. He didn't get kicked out of school, as far as we know, on any, public records about Jimmy Butler. So the fact that he had the mental wherewithal at the age of 13 to not turn to a life of crime and would have felt, many would have felt justified, and to go to keep going to school, keep going in junior elementary, then high school, keep his grades up enough to the point where he gets into college and starts to hone, an athletic skill. And basketball was very interesting to me, the mental toughness to do that and the maturity to do that. So the fact that that even happened to him, and here's what's even to me more extraordinary. You may think, well, he probably has a huge grudge towards his mother. No, what's to me more interesting, almost shocking to me, is that he has no grudge. He said, I love my mommy. I don't harbor a grudge. What happened happened. He moved on. He talks to his mother. They're friends. They're friendly now. Okay, and he said he loves his father. So that takes a very sort of big and strong person, also because he didn't let it harden his heart. It could have really made him sort of a hardened person, and he didn't let it do that. He kept his heart open enough that he still had room in there to forgive his mother for that. And he could have said, "You kicked me out, and I had to move in with friends, and I'm mad at you, and I'm not going to talk to you, now that I'm, I'm in college and I'm doing well." And no, but he didn't do that. So I think for someone that went through what he went through, again, the mental toughness to do that, what he did last, week in the playoffs, and what he's been doing as an NBA player, that doesn't surprise me. Once I read that, I said, oh, okay, this see, it didn't harden his heart. I don't think it hardened his heart. I think he kept his heart open enough to still have love for his mother and love his mother. But what it did do was give him the toughness to deal with being a professional athlete at the elite level, because everyone knows when you're at the elite level of any profession, not just athletics, you have to be you just have to work a lot harder than everyone else. There has to be something that makes you stand out. Sometimes it's natural talent, but a lot of times it's just persistence. It's the one person that's going to stay an hour after everyone else comes in an hour before. Kobe Bryant once said that the difference with me is I work. I literally just work harder. I just do more. I'm in there before everyone comes to practice, Kobe said, and I'm in there. I'm the last one to leave. I never let anyone leave before me. I never let anyone leave after me with practice. He said, right. That was important to him, is that he was the last one to leave. You're not gonna out practice me. You're not gonna look like you're trying harder, more determined than me. And I think sometimes that's the difference with elite, people in any profession, but also particularly, of course, in athletics. Practice, practice, practice. And I think that's why I think that would have been the toughest time of his life. I think right now he's having a ball doing what he loves and enjoying it, because he's mentally in the zone doing what he loves, right? And everyone says he's extremely, competitive, and that competitive edge may possibly come from what happened to him as a teenager. I think he had to learn, if he was going to survive in this world, particularly in his personal situation, and to get ahead, and to succeed, he had to not even just be a little bit better than everyone else. He had to be a lot better. He knew he had to stand out to get ahead. And that's what I think he's used to doing. I think he's used to knowing, he coming into a situation, knowing and feeling like, I have to prove myself. I'm not just going to be normal, ordinary. I think ordinary was never an option for Jimmy Butler. I think particularly, again, giving the background, he felt like he had to stand out. He had to be extraordinary. And he is more in doing that. So, props to Mr. Butler. And again, just wanted to, drop some thoughts on that, because it's not something that's widely discussed, but I think in terms of the mental psychology of Jimmy, it's important to keep that in mind. And this is probably, to me, compared to what he went through, this is probably the most fun and exciting time of his life. I think he's loving every minute of it. And I think it's definition of, just the hard work and perseverance paying off. And again, to boot, he's got a strong heart and a forgiving person, because there's no grudge. He's mature enough to, try to keep that relationship with his mother in particular. So I have to commend him for that. So props to Mr. Butler. Just wanted to drop a few lines on that. Looking forward to the first game won today against the Knicks, and I'll be back with another video.